Incidentally, this is the Dremel tool. This is the bit that I use here. It's just, I'm not sure what it is, but it works really good anyway. And all I did was went into here and just dremeled a little more out there and a little bit more out there. It's really hard on this one because you can see when the Dremel goes in, I can't get in straight. So I get this yucky angle in there, and that causes me to get a little bit more material scraped in there. Now that I've done that, I'm taking this over to the sink. Soap, water, warm water, toothbrush. I'm going to make sure there's no shavings anywhere. Alright, one of the things I'm going to have to do, well, first off, we're back. I've dremeled that out, so we're okay to reassemble, and I'm going to skip forward to that. But one of the other things we're going to do, remember I said we're going to do some extra lighting to light up these portholes via this LED. I've done previous testing. I know that this LED will sustain 3 volts, and that's about what comes out of here, but I don't know which is positive and negative. And so I'm going to go to my DCC layout and I'm going to plug this in. The way I'm going to do that is I got these IC test leads that look like this. So these are just little clip-on guys, and I'm going to clip them onto the power part here. And so I'm just going to do a clip-on like this, and then clip it onto my track, and then touch the leads, and we'll have everything sorted out. The thing I like about these IC leads over alligator clips is that they're a little bit of a plunger design here, but when they come out, there's just this rod. This bottom part's insulated, so it holds really well. So I'm going to go off and do that. Okay, so here we are in the layout. And yeah, I have a sound diesel, but you're going to have to put up with that. So it doesn't matter which gets connected to which. We'll just go ahead and we'll get this guy connected in here like this. We'll find a spot where he connects on easily. Okay, so that's connected on good. We need to connect to the other side as well. And so both of those are connected. Well, let's try this one again. Okay. Now we connect it to our decoder, and remember, it doesn't matter. User motor, don't connect there. We'll just connect anywhere along the strip here. And I'm going to pick one at the back here, and one. Oh, we get a little bit of problem here, are we? Let's try that and see. And we'll connect this one at the back as well. And this is on 3, so I'm going to go to my throttle. And first thing I'm going to do is turn off the sound. Okay, so there you can see that that light's on. If I now go to reverse, no light's on. So if I now take my LED, lift this guy up first and touch it to the tube. There's the LED You'll be able to see it coming through my fingers there. Okay. Touch it that way, I get my reverse light on. That means red goes to black on that. Okay. So the red wire from the LED positive goes to the same side as the black speaker wire. And that's all I was going to do there. So we'll power that off. Power, minus. Okay, we're back after started off just to mill this, but the other thing I did when I went off is I went and verified which is positive and which is negative for these guys. This is positive this side, which goes to the red side on the LED there. So I'm going to be able to solder that in without an issue. Now, as I say, I'm going to leave this. I'm not going to solder it in yet. The next thing I'm going to tackle, well, I'm going to show you that this fits first. So it fits in there like that. A little bit of room. So I'll use some double-sided tape on that, but it fits in nice, and it gives a little bit of clearance to the end of the board, which is exactly what I want. Plus these point in and backwards, so I'm going to route them through little components here just by bending the wire. Don't want to rest on anything, I want to go in between components as it goes back. So that this little guy here, which is the light shroud, can fit on like that. I'm not going to put it on, there's little clips in there, I'll do that later, but anyway, just to show you. Okay, what I'm really interested in now though is routing these wires back here for the speaker. Speaker itself will just sit back in here like this. And then we got one wire routing through to there, we got another wire routing through to there. And I want to make these just a little bit longer than I need in case I screw up somewhere along the way. Can't see what I'm doing? Don't worry, neither can I. There, that gives me a little extra length. Now we'll just make sure that the two wires are the same length. There we go. And the speaker goes in with my other speakers. Now the next thing I need to do is tin these guys so that I can get them on the speaker. And so I'm heating up my soldering iron. While I'm heating up my soldering iron, grab my block of wood, because this is how I strip them. Okay, make sure everything's in place there. And then after I've stripped and tinned them, the next step is going to be to get the speaker in. And I think I have a way of doing that the way I want to do it anyway. So for these wires, all you do is you take it like this. I'm going to take the board off to make it a little bit easier. So it's a board on and off, I know, but okay, put that aside. This just goes right here. I take my soldering iron. I just press down on the end and pull. Press down on the end and pull. Just enough to get a little bit of wire visible and clean the tip of that soldering iron right away so it stays nice and clean. Now this usually leaves a little bit of residue on, but it exposes some of the wire, so I'll just go go in with an X-Acto knife. And clean off that. You just want a tiny bit of wire here. You don't want much at all. In this case, I'm going to get my cuticle nippers. Yep. That's what I use for sprue cutting. For really small parts. Or for doing work like this. Cleans it up good. Now, to tin that, I grab my solder paste. And I dip each of my wire ends in it. Boink. There's a dip. Or I just hold it and do that. Then I grab my soldering iron. I'm going to tin it again over here. A little solder into the flux, scrub it. A little bit more solder on it. And then just touch the end of the wire into the solder. Clean it off. There, that's done. So that's ready to go. Next step, however, is going to be to insert the speaker. So speaker needs to be held in, and there's different ways of doing this. I know some folks will glue them in. What I like, I've experimented with a number of things, and I found some thin tape that I can use, double-sided. And so the way I figured out how to do this is to take this double-sided tape, and it's only an 1/8 inch thick. It is not the easiest stuff to work with, but that's okay. Take my scissors, get a piece that I figure is about the right length to go around the circumference. A little bit longer won't hurt. You can cut that off. Okay, so I now have that. I want to make sure that I cover just the outside of the speaker with the tape. So once I've got that started, I can then move it, hold it with that finger, and slowly move it around, and as I do, protective white will come off, leaving all goes well. Okay, now something that hasn't. Now I want to get this tape down on the speaker, so I just roll it on like this. That's all ready to stick in, other than I don't have quite enough. Got a tiny little gap there. So we'll just cut a tiny little piece off. Maybe it's not all that tiny, but we'll cut a piece off. Grab it with my tweezers. And it'll go right there We don't yet have anything. And then we'll pull the protective backing off. And that. Now we want to insert this. Use tweezers and insert it with the solder points up. You don't get a lot of chances to do this with this tape. And then press it in really good. That's stuck in.